Okay, so I am here with Lauren Kepler. Lauren, thanks for working with me today.
Yeah.
So, Lauren, we're going to kind of work through your ID or IPDP, which just is kind of a document that they have changed recently that you submit in a form, a Google form, to the district. And so we are just going to kind of go through and set some goals. Primarily based on the lesson that I observed you doing. So, just a recap of the lesson, you were teaching a writing lesson. The students were using a graphic organizer to then write sentences to create a writing piece about themselves. There was a student in there that you were concerned about in the area of behavior, and we found that she was very distractible during that time. She was off task and needed redirected at least every minute, and so it was difficult for her to get the assignment done, and it was difficult for you to support other students during that time. So those are the things that we'll kind of keep in mind as we're writing some of these goals. Okay, so they emailed this out, so then you'll just click on that link and go through it, go through all of that basic information about yourself. So then the first question is, what is your data telling you that your focus area should be?
So my dad is telling me that her behavior is getting in the way of her academics.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we need to do some things there so that is not getting in the way of her learning.
Perfect.
Writing.
So you, the data that you used at that time was just my observations and the number of redirects. What are some other behavior data that you have from this student that would lead you again that there needs to be a bigger focus in that area?
So using her daily task sheet, so she's monitored how many prompts she needs during specific tasks. And I've been breaking that up from her being at the carpet too versus her being like at a desk with me.
Perfect. So does the student have an IEP?
Yes.
Okay, so do they have a behavior plan in their IEP?
Yes, she has a behavior plan.
Okay, perfect. So our data is kind of telling us what about the behavior plan?
That the behavior portion is getting in the way of her academic portion.
Yep, and that we probably need to update.
Make some changes.
Yep. So what specific actions will you take to accomplish this professional goal? So your professional goal is around behavior. And so what are some actions that you will take to accomplish gaining insight into behavior?
So from our previous conversation and different strategies I could be using with the student is to just rearrange a little bit the way where she's sitting and who she's sitting with, so utilizing that para support during the time.
Yeah.
So she can sit and work with the para while I'm able to get to her and other students.
Perfect. What are some other actions? So that is kind of that portion. How will you connect that then back to her BIP? What changes or things might you need to make within there?
So updating different strategies that I'm using in the classroom to her BIP plan.
Yeah.
And then documenting those different things that we're doing that are working.
Mm-hmm. Good. So in order to move forward with this, what supports do you need?
So that collaboration time, or just having the support from like our lead teacher and our special ed coach to work with me to update the IEP and then implement specific strategies and what they're seeing, and they have better behavior experience.
Sure.
So using their experience.
Yep. So kind of going through what I hear you saying is kind of going through that coaching cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And so since you've already been observed and you kind of have some ideas, then you will just kind of grow off of that. What other support? So listed, it says time, access to training, collaboration, opportunities, and materials. Is there anything else in there that you think you'll need?
I guess just any materials that will help, like if her task sheet isn't working, to know something better that is better to monitor her behavior with.
Yep.
But just having access to those materials and access to that time.
Yeah, and I think some other things is that we have quite a few different social skills curriculums that might be beneficial for her to use. The collaboration time, I also think you'll have to have a lot of collaboration with both the gen ed teacher and then the para that is working with her to kind of go through the new plans and talk through the what ifs, and again, then also time to go into the classroom and train and kind of coach them on what to do in each situation. So we'll add all those in there. Okay, so the criteria used for measuring the goal. So right now you are using her behavior monitoring sheet.
Mm-hmm.
What will you continue to use to measure the success of?
I'll continue to use that sheet that we're using to see if the new strategies are working on her sheet, and go back and look at the data that we put in on her IEP goal and see if those changes are working.
Perfect. The other thing that you might consider is like what specific skills you are focusing on. I don't know exactly what's on her sheet right now, but making sure that you're really targeting that blurting or that off task. There may be a lot of different behaviors that she is displaying right now that we want to work towards improving. However, sometimes you just need to pick that the biggest one. And so right now I would say it was like that off task and blurting. So making sure that you have a sheet that is monitoring that. So what are some ways, how will you ensure that you will meet your goal on a timely basis?
So just making sure I'm progress monitoring her every 2 weeks and taking that data and making sure it's entered in, and then looking at that data after 4 weeks and seeing if what we're doing is working.
Yeah, so I think the biggest part of that will be checking after 4 weeks, and if she is not on her aim line or near her aim line, then kind of bringing that coaching group back together to kind of see what changes we can make to get her back on track. We don't want her to go too far below, because then she will not ever meet that goal. So focusing on behavior and supporting specifically the student, how does that align with our district initiatives, our building goals, and then the teaching standards?
So it aligns with the 21st century skills within the Iowa Core. And then and then being able to have her access the core. So if she's displaying the behaviors we want, she's able to access the core and everything we're trying to teach her. And if not, then she's not getting access to that.
Yeah, so I think that you bring up a good point. The reason that we're trying to focus so heavily on the behavior is because we really are struggling. She isn't writing. Like, so when I came in and observed that day, she couldn't get to the writing component because she was so busy being redirected or so busy being off task. And so we feel that focus is our behavior is our biggest focus right now, so that we then can support within the other areas. Does she have other goal areas for her IEP?
She does have a writing goal.
Okay, so academics are concerned.
Those,
Okay. Perfect. Any other questions about the IPDP?
Not right now.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Thank you so much, Lauren.
Yep, thank you.